Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We are doing a Teasylight or blended blonde tutorial today on one of my beautiful clients with the most dreamiest hair. I swear, she's got just amazing hair. So I always love doing it. I've actually filmed a video on her hair before, but it was a year ago, and it was more so on like the bulwark side of things anyway too. So this is kind of all on like the placement and all that good stuff. So let's get on into it. So as you guys can see, she's naturally like a level 6, I'd say, like more of a true 6, maybe a 7 in the very frontmost in the summer. But what I like to do on her is do more of like the T parting or just part along her part line. For the more just like blended balayages, that's what I normally like to be doing lately, is more so just parting along their part line. I feel like it really helps me visualize how much dimension I actually want to leave in the hair. When I do a mohawk sectioning, I do like the pop that it gives up top, but not everybody wants a ton of like bright, high impact blonde up top. And like on her, we want a good amount. Yes, we do want that bright blonde pop, and we do want that bold, high impact blonde, but we want it to be very fluid and dimensional. So in these types of situations, I feel like for me personally, I like to really part along the natural part line. And for, again, very heavily high impact blondes, especially more so towards like the root area, that's kind of where I feel like doing the mohawk sectioning is a little easier. But I also sometimes too just will like go back and forth if I'm feeling bored and just want to do something a little different. So you really can't go wrong either way, really. It's just based on your preference. So as you guys can kind of see, I'm really just going along her growth pattern and just kind of like how her head shape is falling. And then I'm kind of letting that tell me how to make my sections. It kind of always ends up being a natural bricklay situation anyway, where I do maybe one, maybe two sections along her hairline. And then I'll normally do like a horizontal one to break it up in the back. And these sections, like what you see me doing right here, I normally make these more of my dimension enhancing ones. So you'll see me either, you know, have a little bit more of negative space in between. You might see me tease a little bit lower too than you will see me doing when I'm doing like the diagonal back sections up front. So even like right here, again, I'm leaving a little bit extra dimension out, and then you'll see me kind of bring my teeth down a little bit lower as well. Most of these sections, again, when we're wanting to do quite a bit of like a more of a natural, very blended look, even if I want that bold impact, I normally will still weave out just a little bit, because leaving a little bit of that slice, breaking that slice up a little bit, just helps to give it just that little bit of added softness. That's something that I've really been doing a lot more over the past like year and a half-ish or so, when I want that effect of a slice and that higher impact. But again, I just want it to have a little bit of softness, especially for my girls that do let their hair grow out a little bit longer. Like I said, my client right here, she actually normally comes in relatively regularly, and that's why we're able to maintain a pretty high impact on her. But it still is nice just to kind of keep it nice and soft and low key. So now I'm on to the money piece, and what I'm doing for this is the same effect. So I, again, really wanted it to be a nice slice effect and look, but since she is naturally technically a brunette, I really have learned I don't love to do slices on, especially on Teasylights, when they're naturally a brunette. And I never thought I'd say that. I feel like for years I was all about doing as much of the slicing as I can. If I am doing slicing, I'm typically liking to do a little bit of like a tease with it or something too, just because I feel like sometimes root tapping at the bowl just isn't enough. Like, yes, it will look great, but when they come back, I just feel like the grow out is just a little too stark for my liking. I don't know if any of you guys agree or disagree. Down, you know, you can let me know down in the comments below, but that's kind of where I am getting at too. Of, again, I've learned that you can do the slice effect, but break up the slice a little bit and have it be a little bit of a very, very, very soft weave. So, you know, it just really just depends. This section right here, what I'm able to do though too is, since I kind of broke up that slice in that frontmost section, I was able to do a very, very baby fine slice with that section, and then I broke it up again with this following one that I'm doing right now. So that's kind of if I'm really wanting to have that bold impact, but I'm scared of it being, again, too stark. This is what I'll kind of do is I'll like teeter off back and forth, and I'll either like slightly break it up with a weave, or I'll slightly, you know, diffuse it with a little bit of a tease. This situation, I'm kind of doing a little bit of everything. And as you see too, you can clip up that tease remaining too if those baby hairs get a little too in your way. And then too, what you can also do too in this situation is you can paint it like it is a traditional highlight. I typically like to paint up to the tease because, again, I just have learned the more blend that you add in, the better. But I have done it before where I will like paint it up like a true highlight. And it's kind of like a tease baby light where I don't paint up into it. I keep it as like a traditional, how do I want to say it? Like a traditional painted highlight. And then that tease just kind of helps to diffuse it a little bit, I guess. But, you know, it's very situational. Everyone's hair is a little bit different with this. So just keep that in mind. Once when I make it through the whole money piece, then I go back in through the interior and I just work on just meeting up to the front. Make sure you're adding in a lot of what I like to call them are connector sections, like right here where I am kind of bricklaying and like breaking up in between the money piece and adding that like fluid highlight in between the money piece and the dimensional pieces, just because, again, that will help to make things flow a little bit better. Especially since in the sides and that interior part, I'm making it very dimensional. But as you guys saw, that money piece I made very bold. You need something like slightly in between that is a little bolder, but not as bold as that money piece to make sure that everything flows. So some things that I do for that is I will maybe not tease as much, or I won't weave as much. I'll still do a little bit, but I kind of implement what I do in my dimensional sides and then what I do in my higher impact sides, and I like marry them together. And that's typically like a no-fail way of making sure that everything flows the way that you need it to flow. So yeah, I just kind of go and I make my way up all the way up to the part line. And once when I kind of get through that, then obviously I'll work on the other side. As you guys are seeing, for the most part, I am doing where I'm leaving out maybe like 1/8 of an inch in between sections. And then as I work my way up to the top, I'm leaving a little bit more, a little less room out, just so I can kind of get a little bit more blonde up top. And then that very last section, I'm actually not leaving in any leave out. The only leave out that I'll have will be what I left out of the weave, but I'm not slicing out any leave out. You'll be able to see that here in a second. I'm just going in and I'm going straight into teasing, and anything that's just left out is what is weaved out of that negative space right there. And that's just an easy way to add just a little bit more pop right up front, but yet not making sure that, again, it still flows very well. So something that you can do too is if you're worried about it being too chunky of a blonde right up top right there, is make sure that you're teasing that area maybe a little bit more than you are in your like interior areas. But other than that, that's pretty much it. And then I do the same thing on the other side. So a tip I have I've had it asked me before, like, how do you know how much to tease? And that is a great question. Typically what I do is I will go all the way down. This is if they come back in regularly enough, which, like I said, my client does. So she is a great guide. I will go all the way down to that line of demarcation. So where her dark meets her light, her old highlights, I'll go all the way down there and I will tease it all the way up to the root. I typically just do 2 to 3 very soft teases. I don't like to do them very intensely because that's unnecessary. It doesn't change anything. It just makes your life harder at the bowl. So yeah, I'll go down to the line of demarcation, tease up softly 1 to 2 times, and then I will paint, and I'll focus my paint more so in that zone 2 area, and I will feather softly up into the tease then too. And I feel like that gives it a good mix of like having it brought up enough, but then also to you being able to utilize that tease to like really soften out and diffuse out that line. So as you see right here, I start out and I paint heavy in zone 2, and then I brush it up softly into that tease up into zone 1. And typically on the inside, it will be around 1 inch or so left out, unless if the client needs like something else where we do a little bit less or a little bit more. But that's typically like my standard, and if it needs adjusted from there, then that's what I'll do. I'm working again on the other money piece part now. The only hard thing I have with doing off the natural part is I either will do all of the money piece at first, or I just have to like really, really vividly remember what I did on the other side of the money piece, because since I really do base everyone's like sectioning based on just their own needs, and I don't have like a specific like roadmap for every client, there's been times before where I'm like, shoot, I kind of forget what I did on the other side. So if you feel like that's you, get the whole money piece out of the way at the same time, whether you do it first or last or in the middle or whatever you do. Or again, just kind of try to remind yourself like, okay, I did like I kind of remember to tell myself like, you're doing a variation right now, so do a variation on the other side. Because I feel like when I do my mohawk sectioning, I'm normally able to do my whole money piece at the same time. And I haven't had it be anywhere where like I've had any like mix-ups or anything by any means, or any mistakes, but I just don't like when I have to go back and be like, shoot, what did I remember? What did I do? Like, what did I do just 20 minutes ago on this other side of the money piece? And obviously the money piece is a very big deal, so you don't want to, you know, mess that up. So anyway, get through that, and then again, you're going to go back in and just start working your way back up, marrying the money piece in with the rest of the head, and just working your way up to the top. So my formula that I'm using is Aligo's Extra Blonde Black Light Lightener, and I am using, I started off with 20 volume, and I worked my way up to 30. She's got pretty thick hair, and since she is a level 6, I feel like at that level 6 mark, you do have to... It doesn't take a long time to lift, but it just lives in more yellow for a little bit longer. So, you know, make sure if you have good speed, like it takes me around like an hour to apply all of her foils. So, starting off in 20, I feel like is pretty much perfect. And then I mainly do 30 more so in like the back or in these like last few sections up here. And then she normally only has to process for about like 20-30 minutes. And then we're normally able to rinse her out then too. So... I'm going to let you guys kind of keep on watching, and if I think of anything else, I will come back on. So in the back, I like to start at the top just because I've learned that the topmost area does not like to lift very fast compared to the bottom, just because the bottom has both like the natural heat from the scalp and just the hair weighing, like laying over top of it, that helps to trap that heat in. And a lot of times too, the hair is a lot finer underneath too. So just to make sure that everything is processing at the same time, that's like my big thing with like, since it does take me a little bit longer to like apply like balayages and all that kind of stuff, is just making sure that everything processes as much at the same time as possible. So I've learned again to start at the top and work your way to the bottom, and then I'll do the first few. I'll wait until I get kind of like towards the occipital, and then I'll go all the way down and work at the nape of the neck and make my way back up through the center. Is typically what works best for me. And then this bottom hairline area, I'm mainly just kind of doing the same situation that I was doing on the sides. I'm not doing a ton of like baby light detail work, just because since we're keeping it pretty rooted, it doesn't need to be like the height. We don't need to have like a ton of baby lights packed in necessarily. But obviously we do need to make sure that we're adding in quite a bit of brightness right in here. So that's kind of what we're doing through that. And then once when I get through these, I mainly go along her part line, and then I'll kind of start to break it up and go more back towards the center, and it'll be kind of like another Brook Lace situation again too. So yeah, like I said earlier, once when I get through this, what I also was doing too, and you'll see me doing this later, is I did paint some of her ends. We didn't need a ton of, since she does get her hair touched up fairly regularly, I didn't have to do a ton of blonding in the back, because we had a good amount from the last time, which was great. But just to make sure that everything stayed nice and bright, I did go through and paint some of her ends in the back. It was just more so the ends that were kind of on the yellowy side. So you'll see me mainly doing that. And like I said, I did do like a few very rooted Teasylights here just to make sure that, you know, again, everything was where it needed to be brightness wise. But I let this all process for about in between 20 and 30 minutes, like I said. And then I had the bowl part I did do off camera. But like I said, if you want to see kind of how I do my bowl work, you can check some of my other videos. And I do have a specific video dedicated to it, actually on this same girl. But anyway, I did 6 NB for her root from Redken Shades EQ with 10 volume. And then in her end formula, I did 9G, 10N, 9GI, 10GV, and a little bit of 10AI, and a little bit of 10V. Just for a nice bright, like just like natural platinum type of bright, super bright blonde. And yeah, I'll show you guys her after clips here in a second. We were in love with it. Her hair always looks so good. And she was even saying, she's like, I always get so many compliments on it, even towards like the end. So she just has like absolute dream hair. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. And if you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them down below. Let me know what other videos you guys want to see. And other than that, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.